Multiplayer games are dead. Now, what do I mean by that? The multiplayer games that I used to love, okay, they have completely fallen off. They've completely died. Um, when I'm talking about those, I'm primarily talking about Battlefield Bad Company 2. And I think the Battlefield series as a whole is kind of like the perfect encapsulation of what I mean. Now, I personally loved Battlefield Bad Company and most importantly Bad Company 2. I have over 600 hours in the multiplayer of Battlefield Bad Company 2. And what that multiplayer experience represented was a moment in time when you would receive a full product, a full multiplayer package. This multiplayer package was just as premium and offering as the single player campaigns that we are currently getting now, because right now this is the best age for single player games. You take a look at single player games from indies, look at indie games, man. Like, look at indie games. They are amazing, astounding. Indie games today are better quality than AAA games 2 generations ago. A lot of them are better quality than AAA games 1 generation ago. A few of them are better quality than AAA games right now. That's what indie studios can promise, and a lot of them are single player focused. Take a look at the AAA games. Yes, we have a whole spectrum of bad to awful to incredibly amazing. But overall, we are much better off than we were during the PS3 generation, and it is a noticeable improvement from what we're getting in the PS4 generation. So those are good. But let's talk about the multiplayer games. Now, multiplayer games these days almost always means live service games, and live service games are the worst. Oh my god, games as a service, they suck. They absolutely suck. Except for the ones that don't, apparently, because there are some that don't suck to people. But to me, they mostly suck. They really, really do. And let me tell you why. Number one, and most importantly, monetization. When do we accept $15 for a skin, $25 for a skin? Isn't Valorant charging something like 100 to 200 plus dollars for certain skins? In games, like we said, it was cosmetic only, and therefore it was fine, and people just ran all the way to the hills. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Some of them sometimes they will give you characters, and I think a character is more worthy of like a $10 add-on than a particular skin. But however, we are now stuck in this moment where if you want to play a live service game, you must dedicate your entire life to it, because the monetization system influences the game design. And I know some people are going to say, well, you don't need to spend any money, because a lot of these live service games also happen to be free to play, which some use it as an excuse for why they're able to charge so much. But I refuse that. I absolutely refuse that. I would rather they charge me upfront. I would. Or at least they charge me partially upfront so that they can have something like, why don't you throw $3 skins? Can we get back to that? Can we get back to the days where it's like, oh, if I want to put $20 into this, live service game, I'm actually going to get tangible rewards for it. Or if I buy a skin, can I customize it? Can I change the colors around? Remember that? Remember that when you used to like be able to change the color of your outfit and it wasn't something that was, sold to you? If you bought a costume, whether it was pants and a top, you could just change those colors individually and make it your own. If you had a cape, that could be different from everything else. Like, MMOs popularized this. We used to have this. Like, this is what I mean by multiplayer games are dead. They feel dead, even though they are somehow more popular and more played than ever before. They're more streamed than ever before. But those are live services. And I feel like eventually we need to understand that the live service framework is one way of multiplayer game design that has been heavily adopted by the industry because they can monetize. But then the previous way of actually creating a full complete package and releasing that is still valid. That's still something we should get back to. Because when you take a look at it, man, it's just so saddening. The fact that, forget about monetization for a second. You get into these live service games and it's weekly challenges, daily challenges, battle passes. There's a store, but the store has rotating items because they need to create this artificial scarcity, even though you are buying a digital good. it sucks. Like it really sucks. And I know in the old days, of the old multiplayer model, it wasn't perfect. The biggest problem was around map packs, right? Expansions and map packs were the worst moment because they would segregate and fragment the community. And that was bad. But the replacement is so much worse. Like so much worse. I miss Battlefield Bad Company 2 every single day. And Battlefield hasn't been as great since Bad Company 2. Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, and nowadays there's a lot of revisionist, history around them that the people are saying they are good games. Sure, they are good games, but they were not as good as Battlefield Bad Company 2. They were not. And then there's this misconception, I think, especially from, especially for the PlayStation fans, that somehow we do not like multiplayer games. And so, just a little bit of proof, just for myself. Here you can see these are my stats. I was able to find them for Bad Company 2 because the PlayStation 3 doesn't have this kind of built-in support. I can't just show you my hours played. How do I zoom in? You know what? We just use the good old-fashioned keyboard. So you can see here, 684 hours and 44 minutes. Nearly 700 hours put into that game. That's just the online. Then over here, you can see that I was active. KD ratio of 1.4. Now, remember when they used to give you this, like stats? Remember that? This was only in game, by the way. Like the reason that this website can track this is because the game tracked it. Remember when they used to do that? Multiplayer games used to be pride themselves. Look at that. Like everything, all your shame, all your gains. Look how many wins I got. Dude, my win-loss ratio was like we had an amazing squad. Look at it. Look at it. Look how many dog tags I took. Look how proud I am of this record. Like I should actually save this as a as a screenshot or something, because I mean this just makes me happy to be able to see every single thing that I did. What was my accuracy like? Tragic with these weapons. Look at that, 18%, complete garbage accuracy. A little bit better than sniper rifles, but that kind of makes sense, right? But still, I was never a good sniper back then. I'm not even sure if I'm a good sniper now, but I think I'm better than I was. But look at it. It's everything. And then there's more. You can just... This used to be what we used to get as part of the multiplayer package. All of these tracking, stats, accuracy. You could go off, man. You really could. You could show someone exactly how good you were. And then there's gadgets, and you can see everything that you did. This is things that we used to get. Live service games don't have this because they want everybody to feel good. They want everybody to feel great. They want no. You can't have a killed KD ratio. Battlefield backup freaking 2042. It released without the... Oh my god. It released without the scoreboard. This is where we are. So when I say multiplayer games are dead, that's what I'm talking about. It's not the fact that it is literally dead, that you can't play any multiplayer games. It's that this framework, this entire package, that doesn't happen anymore, man. When was the last time that somebody played something where you could be like, show me your stats, like show me everything? Like this here, this is everything. Everything. You can mock it, you can shame it, you can go against, like you can compare it against yourself. They have score per fucking minute, man. Score per minute. So now if you are like, oh, I've only played 10 hours, it doesn't matter because you have an average stat here that is going to give you some kind of comparison. Look at everything we used to get. Look how detailed this shit is. And this is just the first page. Look at it. There's vehicles. You want to see what you did? You want to see how you did it? Everything. It's like these are memories, man. How far you've driven, all the road kills, everything that you've ever done in the game used to be tracked. It used to be available. And that's how we get a website, a database like this. Insignias. Okay, first of all, some of these things are going to be missing because Battlefield, EA took down the server, so they don't have everything there. So for example, tags. This used to be dog tags. And what this used to do is that each player could customize and accessorize their dog tags. All in game, by the way, almost never paid. The only time that there were premium dog tags was when it was part of an expansion. But most of the dog tags in the game could be customized. There were hundreds of them, I think. Anyways, it felt like it. And then your dog tags, there will be, I had, I think, over 2,000 dog tags. And each of them will be from a unique player and it will have their username. The only way you could acquire a dog tag in the game was by going behind someone and stealth killing them with a knife. That's how you got it. That was the only way you got the dog tag. So the dog tag was a mark of pride. It was like, I outsmarted you. I outdid you. I was better than you in that moment. I played better because I was able to get behind you and shiv you. That was the highest, I think, point of like accomplishment. It was like great sniper shot, great 10 kill, and to get a great 10 kill, you need to take down a jet or a helicopter with the tank. You know, that was the moment, man. Bad Company 2, man. If they remake it, Twitch is gonna go crazy. And if they remake it, they need to remake it in this framework. Not that live service feel good about yourself shit. I used to be able to come over here and have 2,000 dog tags to just see how many times, and you could tell, by the way, it would tell you how many times you got that dog tag off of someone. That's how personal you could get with this thing. So it doesn't have this now, which was, it was like a trophy case. It was amazing. So, like I said, some things are missing because the servers were taken down. I didn't play much of Vietnam. You're going to see that most of this over here, I barely put any time in. Didn't enjoy that one too much. But, man, look what we used to be able to do. Look at the combat excellence, 623 times. Like, dude, you can just go crazy. Be the best player in a round. Come on, man. Put some respect on it. 475 times. Like, come on. Look how many games I played. 3,600? 475 of them. I was the ace player. Come on. Gold squad. Come on, man. Come on. When I tell you we have some of the best squad, come on. Come on, man. Okay, to be fair, I think there might be more than one round in the game, but the point is, come on, guys. Look at that. Like, I'm not talking out my ass. You can literally come in and you can see it and you can judge it and you can compare it against your own and you can just go crazy. So when I'm telling you guys, multiplayer games are dead. They are dead, man. This is what we used to do. Now the new Battlefields, do they do this? I don't know. But I bet you they do less. I bet you they don't put a focus on it. They don't even have real classes anymore. I'm not playing Battlefield 2042. I tried it. I'm just like, this isn't Battlefield. What is this? And that brings me to my other point. All of these live service games, they feel homogeneous. They have no identity of their own, man. They really don't. You have a few that do. A very small few. Like Fortnite is so big and Fortnite is so Fortnite that it has its own identity, sure. Then you have things like Rainbow Six Siege, sure. Then you have, I think you have a few more. And then a whole pile of just a glob of shittiness. Just a shitty little glob of just disgusting, garbage live service offerings. That just feel like one to the next. You play one, you've played them all. Okay. That was a tangent. That wasn't the point of the video. But seeing all of this just got me upset. Because I'm like, my little brother, he's much younger than me. He'll never get to experience this. Not the way we're going. Look at this, man. Look at it. Again, make fun of my score. Appreciate it, like it, hold it up, cherish it. You can go in if you remember who you were. You can search. Here's the thing. It's Battlefield Bad Company 2.startverse.com. Point is, you can go and do all of this. I'm mad. KD ratio, not the greatest. Not the greatest. I was actually the tactician of the squad. I can tell stories, man. I'm not going to do this. It's just going to get me more upset. It's going to get me upset. Okay? And I'm going to post this. Look, I can post on Twitter. I'm going to do that later in order to remind people what we used to do. Okay. Another one, just to prove. My point was to prove that over here at PlayStation, we actually don't want to play games. World Company is the one live service that I found in the last 2-3 years that I've actually put time in. And you can see here that I have nearly 1,000 hours into World Company there. World Company is not perfect. In fact, I think it's quite garbage, even as a live service game, because it gets a lot of things wrong. One of those things is monetization and the way that it affects the game design and the way that you feel no sense of progression. Do you know one of the things I loved about Bad Company too? Is that when you were playing, you felt like you progressed. Like in a real way, in a real tangible way, you unlock things. You not only got better naturally as a player, but you felt like the game was rewarding you. Like the game was like, hey, thank you. Thank you for coming around and playing again. There were no such thing as weekly objectives, daily objectives, all these challenges that actually take you away from playing the actual objective of the round. There was none of that like fake shittiness. Like it's just fake. You don't want to be throwing, they're like, oh, throw a grenade, hit a helicopter, bounce between two jets, then land on a person's lap. It says happy birthday, then it blows up in the face. It takes out half the map. That's literally the kind of challenges they have you do. So you see people running around doing these stupid things, these tactically unsound things, just because they want to be able to progress a battle pass a little bit faster. Man, I hate battle passes. I hate this live service framework, man. Look what we did to our multiplayer games, man. I feel like playing that meme, like from what is it? From The Godfather, like, look what they did to my boy. Look what DICE did to us. Look at, bruh. Anyways, World Company is not perfect, but I put a lot of time in it because it at least had a unique identity. But it's also one that it was one of those things where if it didn't catch on, it was just never going to work. And unfortunately, even though I think World Company as a game is fantastic, I would love for somebody to actually just purchase either the studio or just the IP and just get the game and then just make it better. Because World Company actually has a really solid core. It just has a lot of things that stop it from being a huge success. And one of those things, I swear to you, is the live service framework. The live service framework needs to die. We need to get rid of this thing. It has killed so many franchises, so many of our games. And it's also made it impossible now because you have all of these people that expect the live service framework to even advocate for just a regular standard multiplayer game. Pay $70 for it, get the full campaign and everything. And even the ones that are still there from the old era, they have inherited so many of the trappings of the live service framework that it's sad, bro. It is absolutely sad. You look at Call of Duty. I was never a Call of Duty fan. I never liked Call of Duty. I tried Call of Duty Black Ops. I absolutely hated most of it. Multiplayer wise, people tell me it's one of the best. So I'm just like, well, if I did like one of the best, there's no reason for me to go back, right? I'm not saying I'm not saying that Call of Duty Black Ops is a bad game at all. It just didn't hit with me. No problem. But even now, I look at what Call of Duty is and I'm like, yeah, you're not what you used to be, are you? Because you have now tried to bring so many of the live service elements and it just sucks, man. Like these games punish you for playing them. It's like since they made them free to play, the majority of them, they somehow feel entitled to your time, to your money, to your attention. They are demanding games. You don't play them because you want to play them. You play them because you have to keep up with the meta. You have to keep up with this. You have to do this. You have to do that. There used to be a time where live multiplayer games is because you wanted to. Okay, so let's come to the main topic over here. All right, let me see if I can find myself. Here is the main topic. Naughty Dog has cancelled The Last of Us Online. Factions 2, as it was, so beloved, so colloquially called by the community. So over here, you can see that we're on the official page. This is naughtydog.com. Not lying to you, it's gone. I mean, you already know this by now. Like, it's not like I'm breaking news or anything. We're going to go to the read review because it's a bit more palatable. Okay, so here's what they say. They say, we realize many of you have been anticipating news around the project that we've been calling The Last of Us Online. There's no easy way to say this. We've made an incredibly difficult decision to stop development on that game. We know this news will be tough for many, especially our dedicated The Last of Us factions community, who have been following our multiplayer ambitions ardently. We're equally crushed at the studio as we were looking forward to putting it in your hands. We wanted to share with you some background of how we came to this decision. The multiplayer team has been in pre-production with this game since we were working on The Last of Us Part 2, crafting an experience we felt was unique and had tremendous potential. As the multiplayer team iterated on the concept for The Last of Us Online during this time, their vision crystallized, the gameplay got more refined and satisfying, and we were enthusiastic about the direction in which we were headed. In ramping up to full production, the massive scope of our ambition became clear. To release and support The Last of Us Online, we'd have to put all of our studio resources behind supporting post-launch content for years to come, severely impacting development on future single-player games. So, we had two paths in front of us. Become a solely live service game studio, or continue to focus on single-player narrative games that have defined Naughty Dog's heritage. We are immensely proud of everyone at the studio that touched this project. The learnings and investments in technology from this game will carry into how we develop our projects and will be invaluable in the direction we are headed as a studio. We have more than one ambitious, brand new single-player game that we're working on here at Naughty Dog, and we cannot wait to share more about what comes next when we're ready. Until then, we're incredibly thankful to our community for your support throughout the years. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. Number one, it's incredibly disappointing. It is incredibly disappointing. One thing I didn't mention is that I played The Last of Us Factions for about 400 or so hours. Again, this was on the PS3 that I mostly played. I barely played it on PS4. So I'm not sure exactly if I could find the stats to prove what I'm saying. But take my word for it, I wouldn't lie to you guys because I have no reason to. So I am a huge The Last of Us Factions fan. When they came out and they said that Factions wasn't being released alongside The Last of Us 2, it was a disappointment. But I thought to myself, at least you've told us a year in advance. So now it's like, okay, if I get the game, I will know. And then they said that they had gone beyond what would be a simple mode or an extra mode. Therefore, they needed to give it this, this proper dedication. And that sounded great. At a certain point, it became obvious that this had unfortunately fallen prey to the live service framework. And that's where they went wrong. Release a multiplayer game. Release an old school multiplayer game with its own identity, perhaps with a few expansions down the line, 1 or 2 or 3, over the next 2 years. Don't put it in a live service framework. Yes, you will need to balance weapons and, kind of take off the meta because, let's face it, the environment is not the same as it used to be. Nowadays, with video tutorials, with streamers, with Twitch, as soon as people find out one gun is slightly more advantageous than the other, it will spread like wildfire through the community. It's a bit harder to manage that aspect. Whereas before, yes, there were things still like YouTube, but the culture wasn't the same. Before, if a few friends found a particular thing that worked with a particular exploit, that might be limited to only a few thousand players, Nowadays, it will go to a few million instantly. It will spread like wildfire on the internet. So I can't just say that, just release it and kind of turn your brain off and go do other things. No, it will have required some dedicated support. Sure. But not as much as a live service framework, because a live service framework demands that you strip away a lot of your content. Therefore, things like progression systems and things like that, they don't just have to be managed or engineered, they have to be psychologically analyzed in order to see if they give you just the right amount of drip ratio. Like if they can just drip that content to you at just slow enough a pace as to frustrate you into making purchases, but also not so slow that you feel like it is completely egregious, right? Because we had Star Wars Battlefront 2 to show us that there is a point where players will reject everything that you are doing. But if you had just released it like Bad Company 2 released, like The Last of Us Factions released, what would be so bad about that? It wouldn't have made as much money. And perhaps people would have complained about being charged again. They would have felt like, this would have been included if you had The Last of Us 2 already, as part of your collection. Sure. But I think a $30 product, a $30 well-made product, maybe it had something like 20 maps, Maybe it had something like 4 or 5 game modes at launch. That's fine, Maybe you can add 1 or 2 later on with the expansions. Okay. kept the core of what the identity was, got rid of the mistakes that they made in the Last of Us Factions, which was selling weapons pay to win, because the Last of Us Factions, its identity was that it was a game mode in which you would have to be tactical. You have to be stealthy. There were huge penalties for going loud and brash, in that world. What people wanted, what people have always said is, what if we had, infected on the map at the same time as players in at least certain modes, right? So you could have gone like, basic team deathmatch. You could have gone for the 2 or 3 modes that they had before. You could have had 1 or 2 modes where they are infected on the map and it becomes a PvPvE. You could have gone a hold mode for something more cooperative and everything. And then just leave it. Make your $30 up front. Sell it. You probably would have sold at least 2 or 3 million copies. Take that to the bank and then that's it. Make the community understand from the get-go that, hey guys, you're buying a complete package. Every cosmetic that we created, that's just available. Every weapon skin, it's just in the game. Just unlock it. It's fine. It's easier to create a progression system when you don't have to track, the inside of the human mind, the mentality. No, just give it away. Like, take a look at Spider-Man. Not a multiplayer game, of course. Not a live service game either. But it has cosmetics. They could have charged for that. They could have put it behind really annoying progression and credits, that you have to pay real money for, because they said you need player XP boosts and everything. But no, they didn't. It's just there. You play the game and you unlock at least half of the base suits, just barely doing anything. You play the full game and you unlock everything, and you have credit left over so that if they create, additional skins later down the line, you can probably just buy those too. Why can't we have that? The other thing I will criticize, and this is super important, stop announcing games before you know what those games are. And I know that they had a vision for The Last of Us Online, but you clearly didn't know what it was going to be if you now find out that you can't make it happen. You clearly didn't know the full scope and the ambition and the scope creep and everything that was going to happen to the game. You didn't know enough about the game to be confident 1000% that you were going to release it, because evidently you haven't released it. You're never going to release it. Stop announcing games 5 years out, even if you're sure, because things could happen. The publisher could be like, nah, we're not doing that anymore. The industry could change, make your particular version or flavor unpopular now. Controversies could happen with certain actors, and then suddenly your main protagonist has to be voiced by somebody entirely different because some guy decided to stick his in somebody's, and then suddenly he's cancelled. Just stop announcing games more than 18 months out. What they should have done is they should have said, hey, The Last of Us Part 2 will not come with an online mode. That's it, that's all. And they should have just taken the hit then. Just take the hit, it's fine. And then go and work on a multiplayer framework, that framework of multiplayer mode or multiplayer game. And then don't let scope creep and the temptation of live service, because man, I've got to tell you, man, if live service hits, the monetary benefits are incredible for these companies. The temptation is perfectly understandable, but it doesn't do us any good. It does nobody any good, not get gamers. So we need to stop putting live service expectations. We need to demand that these developers free themselves from the live service framework. It requires, they talked about it here, right? It requires hundreds, if not thousands of people to maintain a proper live service games. Fortnite took over Epic. Fortnite canceled other projects. Fortnite is now pretty much the only thing they make. They make Fortnite, they make the Unreal Engine. The Unreal Engine is perfect because it fits Fortnite. And they can license it out to other people, but it's because it fits Fortnite. If Epic did not make Fortnite in their own engine, they will be using someone else's engine, because there is no way they'll be developing the custom proprietary engine just for that, one single game. They'll be like, no, we have the formula, we can just make it in something else, and they would have made it there. So it is fortuitous for them that, things worked out the way they did. And it's not just pure luck, of course. But the point is, Epic is a Fortnite company. That's it, that's all. And they are so successful at it that they can branch out as long as they kind of stay close to Fortnite. That's basically it. When's the last time that they were like, hey, you know what? Here's just a game completely unrelated to Fortnite. Just completely unrelated. You look at the Epic Game Store and that thing is costing them money, just hundreds of millions of dollars, but hey, they have Fortnite. So there you go. You take a look at Call of Duty, and now Warzone, has infected the latest, Call of Duty offering. Activision has all sorts of problems, so I feel like they're a bad example. They don't want to talk about it. I'm not that big into Call of Duty or Call of Duty news, so I don't want to say something completely out of pocket, but you can definitely see that it is there. It's funny because the live service framework, as I keep calling it, is sort of like the console's version of mobile game practices. That's what it really is. And mobile game, you guys know the mobile game mindset when these developers create these mobile games, right? Like, hey, you have 3 lives, but we're going to put this amazing skill check in front of you. But hey, if you give us $5, we'll give you 5 more lives, right? And they'll probably lower the difficulty in the background. Complete scam. And you have gacha game mechanics. Live service game is our own version of that. There's gacha games, they have their own toxicity. There's mobile games, they can come with their own. And live service games is ours. Like, it came in and it was so promising. And then it just turned into this cesspool. Oh man, imagination goes to die on the live service framework. I hate this trend. I really, really do. Games as a service, they suck, man. They suck. Oh man. Then they suck the life out of our projects. Look what they did to us. Look what they did to Naughty Dog. This is a bad day. This is a failure, okay? This is a complete failure on Naughty Dog. Complete and utter failure. This is a black eye. This might be 2 black eyes. This is something they need to recover from. This is something that they need to apologize, not with words, but with games. And, okay, we're going to get more single-player games from them. Okay, cool. We're going to get more single-player games from them. So, that is going to be a consolation, I guess. I look forward to, but it's not this. This is like if somebody promised you that they would take you on a cruise and you wait 1 or 2 years and then they're like, hey, you know what? That cruise idea, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. But you know what I've always been good at? I've always been good at making you Michelin style food. I cook for you. I'm a chef. I cook for you. I put this incredible food in front of you. And so I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to give you more food. It's nice. It's great. I appreciate the gesture, but it's not a cruise. You get what I mean? Like, the food doesn't take you to the Caribbean. The food doesn't take you to the seas. It doesn't take you online. It doesn't take you to the bars and the people and it doesn't do that. It takes you somewhere nice, somewhere great, somewhere you want to go again. No problem. But it's not a replacement. It's not even an adequate apology or gesture. It's just that you lied about the cruise. You lied about the multiplayer game, Naughty Dog. You just did. You didn't have to lie. That's my big issue, man. You didn't have to say all these things. You should have just kept quiet. So now that they said, hey, listen, we'll announce this single player game when it's ready, I made a bet with Porter Rock that that Naughty Dog was going to release at least a game. I think we settled on at least a kind of game in 2024. Now I'm not even sure if I want them to, because I'm like, I just feel so deflated. This is just, it's just like, you've disappointed me so much today that even on this other thing that I guess doesn't have to be related, I'm not looking forward to it anymore. Like when somebody breaks a major promise with you, even if if they have promised you something else before or they promise you something else now, that has nothing to do with the thing they broke the promise over. It's just, you know, I mean, you say, yeah, okay, but you're half-hearted, you know, it hurts. And again, guys, I'm a Naughty Dog. Like I played The Last of Us Factions. I didn't skip it. I played it on the PS3. I loved it on PS3. I played, again, something like the last time I checked my stats, I was at 400 hours in it. I loved that game. I wanted it back. I really, really did. I didn't ask them to make a live service framework. I didn't ask them to make it a whole interactive city where you could do this and maybe there was a hub and there was this, you were missions. That all sounds cool if you can deliver it. But if you can't deliver it, I would have been fine with just what I got, slightly refined, Last of Us Part 2 gameplay. That would have been it. That's really what I wanted. You know, you didn't have to go and glow it up. You know, it's a bit like when you says to somebody that you just want like a simple birthday party. You just like, you're like, hey, listen, I don't really like celebrating my birthday. So if 4 or 5 of you come around the house, you know, we have some drinks, we have some pizza, I'm fine. And then they say, you know what? Fuck that. We're going to go to town. We're going to take you. We're going to be on a yacht. We're going to rent this. We're going to rent that. There's going to be supercars. There's going to be models. There's going to be this. There's going to be that. And you're like, I mean, okay, I've never had that before. So, and it's just for the experience, yeah? Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah. All right. I'll do it. Okay, cool. Then you're like, yeah, all right, let's do it. Then the day before, nice pun word, they tell you it's cancelled. You're not getting anything. You don't even get the simple birthday party back at your house with the pizza and the beers. Nah, nothing. Your whole birthday is cancelled. But then they tell you, hey man, remember how we always play online? Yeah, I'm gonna buy the next, 2 games. And you're like, all right, I mean, sure. But it's not it's not the birthday party, is it? Yeah, it's disappointing. Okay. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, don't announce games too early. That was my last point. Finally over here. I just have one example tweet. Sort of like a counterpoint. Okay. Now this is Portal Trainer 77. You guys know I'm on his podcast. We'll probably talk about this next week. I'm not taking a shot at him, but he said something like this. He said that I am so glad that when it came down to the 2 choices, they made the majority ones from Naughty Dog. That is, they made the single player. They chose the single player path. Okay. Also, knowing they are working on more than one new single player game is a win. And so this, I'm not using this as an example to go against. I'm using it as an example of sort of a counterpoint that people have had when talking about this. And I agree, but I never asked. My problem is I never asked for the glow up. I never asked for something complicated and complex that was going to take the entire studio's resources. I never wanted that. Most of you listening probably didn't want that either. You just wanted something simple. But yeah, anyways, it's a huge Naughty Dog failure. It is a definite blemish. I think it's the most devastating blemish in memory that I can think of. The Last of Us Part 2, people feel like that story is controversial. So I guess people could say that was a bigger blemish than this. But first of all, those people are wrong. But second of all, that's a subjective thing. And it was always going to be a controversial story anyway. And it just delivered on itself. So this is just complete fail. Like there's no recovering this, and it's disappointing all around. I have nothing else to say, basically. This is just it. Multiplayer games are dead. I wish they would come back. What comes around goes around, so I guess one day maybe you'll be back, but what are you gonna do? Wow. Okay. Have a good day.